Okay, we got paying customers here. Okay, call to order. There we go. Flag pledge. We will observe the flag to the left. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Roll call. Let's see. We got Christina Simpson, Steve Ryan, your host tonight, Jim Jordan. We've got Mary Schilling, Eric Gleason, and we have Julie Thies on Zoom or something like that. And Spencer's out. He had a place to be. Okay, good. We've got 6 out of 7. Item 2, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Second, okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, agenda approved. Item 3, public participation. The board welcomes comments and questions from the public. If you wish to address the board, please fill out a public participation sheet available at the table and give it to the board secretary, Amy Elliott. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. If more than one person will be addressing the same topic, we ask that you appoint a spokesperson to speak for the group. Speakers may offer objective criticism of school operations and programs, but the board will not hear comments regarding individual school personnel. Okay, with that being said, I have one speaker, and it is Michelle Marsh of North Bend, and her topic, blocking Coquille School District transfers. Michelle, sure, come on up, and there's no microphone, just
That's okay.
speak with your, yeah, either one.
So I got a notification today, not too long ago, about the blocking the transfers to Coquille School District from North Bend. And my daughter currently goes to Winter Lakes, and my children will be. We moved from Myrtle Point. They were going there before. So I'm not in favor of this. I know there's a lot of other people that weren't in favor of this that didn't have the time to get here. So anyways, I understand that it's probably costing the district some money, I guess, if they're losing kids, but it should be our choice to do that, to see to put our kids where it's best for them. So anyways, that's why I came here, to make sure that we were still going to have a say-so about this. I don't know the whole extent of everything, but I wanted to have a say in that, since there's a lot of families that we carpool with to go to Winter Lakes too. So anyways, so that's my say. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, with that, item 4 on the agenda, some thank yous. Item A, the board would like to thank Oregon State University and Coos County Master Gardeners Association for the generous donation of plants to the North Bend Bridges Greenhouse. Jake, make sure you keep those watered. Item B, the board would like to thank Jennifer Knight of the Coos Bay Public Library for her thoughtful donation of new books that support girls' healthy physical and mental development, valued at roughly $700. This donation is shared from the grant received from the Boys and Girls Club and is funded as a result of a pharmaceutical settlement awarded by the State Attorney General's office. Age-appropriate books will be placed at all North Bend schools. And the third thank you, the board would like to thank Gibbs RV Superstore of Coos Bay for the thoughtful donation of LifeVac equipment. LifeVac is an anti-choking device that is easily deployed in an emergency situation. We're confident that these life-saving tools will be a safety measure that we can get behind and easily train our staff to use. Our school nurses have been consulted and are in strong agreement. Gibbs RV Superstore has generously provided a LifeVac system to each school building in our district. Thank you for that. Cool. Okay, agenda item 5, communication. Item A, board reports and communication. Any board reports or? None. Item B, student representatives to the board. High school representatives? Not here tonight. Okay, thank you, Mike. Item C, association reports, North Bend Education Association report. Christina Geierman.
Hi, everybody. Sorry for the mask. I found out this morning that the kid that I've been working one-on-one with a lot just tested positive for COVID. So I'm trying to keep my aerosols to myself. I tested this morning. I'm negative so far, so that's why I'm here. Just want to say that we made it. It's June. It's almost over. There were some ways this turned out a lot better than we feared. I know the teachers are tired. We're all looking forward to summer, a chance to rest, recharge, and come back next year even stronger. And I wanted to keep my address short because we're going to be talking again in agenda item 10. But I did want to thank you and let you know that my term as North Bend Education Association president will be coming to an end on July 31st. I'm really honored to have served as president during this really tough time. I hope I made a good thing. Kevin, do you know how many MOUs we've argued in the last 2 years? I just, 12. 12. Usually everything that happens in a year is covered by the contract and the number of MOUs is 0. So yeah, that's been a lot. I feel like we've gotten to know each other fairly well through all of this process. And we've got 2 more we're hoping to iron out this summer. I'm not going away. I'm of course continuing to teach at the high school, and I'm going to be serving as a building rep for the high school this next year. So thank you very much for all of your time and attention over the last 2 years.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Do you know who your replacement is, or is there an election forthcoming?
The special election just closed at 4 o'clock, and it's Eva Varga. She is a fantastic teacher. She works with our ELLs in our district, so she's in all the buildings. She has a very unique perspective because she works with all of the kids. I don't know if she gets out to North Bay, but I know she gets up to Hillcrest, so she sees all of the grade levels and what's happening in 3 out of the 4 buildings. So great perspective.
Okay, thank you. Item 6. Oh, no, I always forget this. Kevin Bogatin, Superintendent Report, item 5D.
Thank you. As we begin tonight's meeting, I can't help but think of the 19 students and 2 teachers killed at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas on May 24th. I'd like you to join me in a moment of silence for these victims, their families, and the entire Uvalde community impacted by this tragedy. While this incident occurred more than 2,000 miles away, the impact is felt here at home. Students who have heard about this most recent shooting have a very real feeler of this happening in their own school. And while the chances of that happening are small, we can't assume an event like this one can't or won't happen in our own community. This is just the latest horrific school incident, and our parents and staff are asking what we can do, what we're doing, and what we can do to prevent this from occurring, or at least minimize the impact. While we cannot give our children, parents, or staff a guarantee that nothing bad will ever happen to them, we can reassure them that the adults around them will do everything in their power to keep them safe. Student safety is our absolute top priority. All of our students and staff regularly practice emergency drills so that everyone is confident in the execution of these safety measures. We invite you to learn more about our safety measures at iloveyouguys.org. In addition, staff have been trained in ALICE, and a video can be found on our website. The district continues to provide security updates at all of our schools, including security cameras, fencing, and we've begun to install security card reader systems in the district. Of course, part of creating a sense of security is the sharing of information. It's important everyone remember that if they see something, they say something. If they hear about a threat or say something or see something on social media, or if they know someone who is struggling with mental health or depression or anger, to share that information with a trusted adult. A parent, a guardian, a teacher, a counselor, a principal, or they can report information anonymously on Safe Oregon via text, call, or email, and those links are provided on our website. Earlier this week, I also provided a resource paper from the Doogie Center entitled Talking with Children About Tragic Events. That resource can be helpful in navigating conversations that we wish we wouldn't have to have with young kids. That's referenced in my report, and I will make sure that that's also available online. I want to again invite students or staff who need extra support to reach out to school counselors, social workers, or administrators. We'll do everything we can to help. We will continue to evaluate the safety of our facilities, train and retrain on our standard response protocols, and remind everyone to utilize our door lock mechanisms and diligently keep our outside doors locked at all times. Again, our thoughts are with the evolving community. A little bit better note. On Thursday, May 26th, Mayor Jessica Inglegate issued a city proclamation recognizing the North Bend High School Chorus Ensemble for its second place finish in the OSA Class 5A state competition. There are 39 members of this ensemble led by choir director, teacher Ken Graber. I would love for you to see this video, so we're going to try a little technology here just so that you can see a bit of our students performing today and you didn't get a chance to see them. Let's cue it up and see if we can listen to our high school second place in state. That was Mr. Graber's last competition here with us in North Bend. He's retiring at the end of this year. He's handing off his conductor's baton to Ms. Janet Lay, our music teacher at North Bay. And so we wish Ken the best of luck and certainly look forward to future presentations and performances by our new music director. Today, the city of North Bend, along with a lot of other Bulldog supporters, cheered on this year's North Bend High School state competitors. The parade started and ended at the high school, and city residents cheered on students from band, choir, forensics, volleyball, cheer, wrestling, swimming, girls tennis, boys and girls golf, boys and girls track, bowling, and equestrian. Thank you to the North Bend Fire and Rescue for organizing the event and including the lineup of city vehicles and first responder emergency equipment from throughout the North Bend School District. It's a great day to be a Bulldog. I know we haven't officially passed the budget for next year quite yet, but I want to acknowledge the great work of our business services department, including Marina Wright, our controller, Anna Bergmeyer, our business service specialist, Carrie Lucero, our purchasing and accounts payable specialist, and our newest member of the team, Karina Taylor, our payroll specialist. This list isn't complete without our business director, Tim Kreider. This is Tim's first year in this new role, and as he took over for our previously retired business director, Tim has worn the interim badge through this year, and tonight I'd like to announce him as our permanent and official business services director. So congratulations to Tim and to our entire business services team for a great year. And finally, there are a lot of great things happening in our schools, in our district, in our community. It's been a challenging year, and our board has had to tackle many challenges. Since this is our last board meeting of the year, I'd like to use just part of this time to engage with the board and just ask this one question for you to respond to. What is the best thing about your association with the school district, or one accomplishment which you are particularly proud of? Go around.
I would say just getting through COVID together as a team. I know that was really challenging for a lot of our staff and our students, and I think that we need to commend those people who stepped up to the plate and were very flexible with all the guidelines. So yeah, that would be mine.
That's the exact sentiment I was gonna do, but on top of that, we had a lot of, I know my daughter was in track, this season, which was a great season, especially for a lot of kids. I was involved in that parade today, which that was pretty spectacular, and look forward to something like this again in the future.
I guess, let's see, the best thing about your association with the school district, I had three kids go through the school district, and they've received good educations, and they are launched on their path. So I'm thankful to the school district for that. It's been a privilege to be on the board and serve. It's an elected position. I'm a big supporter of local control. I do not believe that the state has all the answers. I think the citizens of North Bend know what is best for their students and their children. And it's been a blessing to be part of that. Thank you.
Well, I'm appreciative of being elected to the board, and I think it's been a great year. And I'm so pleased that the kids are back in school and doing so well.
Oh, does Julie want to go first? I see her nose peeking over the line here. I mean, it is your turn.
She chatted and said she wasn't sure if she could unmute, so I don't know.
I'll see if I can do it for her.
Okay, I think
There we
about
go.
She's in.
At first, I didn't have any options to do anything with, there was no video, there was no mute, nothing. So, oh, I apologize. I actually didn't hear the question, but it sounds like you're asking what we think about being on the school board.
Or something that you're proud of in the district.
I'm definitely proud of the teachers and the staff and the classified, all pulling together to work together to be a team. I know that they've been asked to do some of the things that they weren't necessarily hired to do, but they're stepping up and doing that anyway. I'm pretty proud of them for that. The way they're working all together to put the students first, to get their education levels where they needed to be, and focusing on the kids. I've heard some stories from some of the employees, and I'm so proud of them for working with the kids and their individual needs, because they're struggling. And I'm pretty proud of them for that. And I appreciate being able to see that. And I appreciate being able to be elected by the community and represent them and help them be a voice on the school in what the school does. Okay, now it's your turn, Eric.
For me, I think it's just the grit, resilience, and determination of the folks that make our school district function. And I've been lucky enough to witness and be part of this school district all of my life. My grandmothers were, one was a secretary and one was a librarian at Hillcrest and Roosevelt. I grew up in the library at Hillcrest with my grandmother. Mr. Forrester yelled at me on the basketball court. Jake Smith, I think his first year, he was my wide receivers coach. Mr. Martin used to get me directed back in the tech class that we had. I am a product of this system, and that at times has not been a shining light for the city of North Bend or the North Bend School District. But the determination that these individuals have had throughout the time that I've known them and the newer teachers to guide our students in the directions that they've gone, to watch and see the sheer amount of students in that parade today. While I didn't get to be there, I got to watch Steven's video of it. And it's a good day to be a Bulldog. It really is. And I'm really proud that I get to be in the position that I've been in, both as a student and an alum and a board member. And it's really pretty awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin.
We're gonna put 300 people in that parade next year.
Pretty awesome.
Okay, agenda item 6, action/consent agenda items. Is there any discussion, or is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the action consent agenda items.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I just have one comment about it. Just looking at the new hires, I see 5 resignations, retirements, I see 11, and leaves of absence, I see 2. So, looks like an outflow to me. Okay, let's see. Item 7, public hearing on the 2022 to 2023 budget. That's me. Okay. With that, I will open the public hearing and state that it's being held to inform taxpayers, answer questions, and listen to anyone for or against any portion of the budget as approved by the Budget Committee. Public comment was taken in written format and submitted by email prior to this meeting. And Tim, I understand there is no.
That's correct. No public comment.
Okay. No public comment. Well, with that, I'm closing the public hearing on that. Okay, thank you for that. Next on this part of this act or item is the district budget. Tim, is that you? You going to discuss them?
Well, at this point, I think it's up to the board to vote on adopting the budget as approved by the Budget Committee.
Okay.
Unless you have any questions or comments.
You just want a motion?
Yeah.
Call it good. I move to approve the attached resolution to adopt the budget, make appropriations, impose property taxes, and categorize taxes for the 2022-23 fiscal year.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. So that's unanimous. And then that was one. And then the second one is resolution imposing and categorizing taxes. And that's.
I think we covered that all into the one.
No, there's a second one. There's a second resolution. You're on.
Did that get included in one fell swoop, or?
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a second resolution there.
So is there a motion for the second one reads?
Here it is. Yeah.
I'll make a motion. I move to approve resolution 2022-07 imposing and categorizing taxes at $4.1626 per 1,000 for the general fund. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, second. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye. So the budget has passed.
Thank you to the budget committee members and the board members that served. The riveting time, and look forward to it next year.
Tim, thanks for you and Morena guiding us through this process, particularly the folks new to it. So I want to thank you for your patience and detailed efforts on that. Okay, moving on. Item number 9 is USAC E-rate program. Joe Frischman, the IT guy.
Good evening. So I gave you a long cover page that kind of goes through the whole E-rate program. But essentially it's a federal funding program for technology in school districts and libraries. And normally we go for our internet and circuits between buildings. We get those funded at 80%, we pay 20%. But every 5 years, they give us a budget for equipment. And so this year, our high school and middle school are up for new equipment. So we've applied for to replace that equipment in those buildings. That'll replace all the wireless access points and the majority of the core switches in the building.
Any questions for Joe? So is it all hardware or is there some service included in there?
There's service included. It's essentially a turnkey. They come in one evening and walk out in the morning with a working network. So.
Okay. And do we get a deal? It looks like the cost was what, 164,000 and our out of pocket is 32,000.
Yeah, the USAC pays 80% of the bill. We do have on the hardware side, there is a cap. So we only get so much for the whole district during those 5-year period. And so we will eventually use it all up.
Nice, easily.
Okay. Any more questions? And if not, would someone like to make the motion?
I move to accept Ednetics Inc. bid valued at $164,918.90 and award the contract in the amount of $32,983.78 for North Bend High School Network Infrastructure RFQ. Furthermore, I move to accept Ednetics Inc. bid valued at $101,879.74 and award the contract in the amount of $20,375.95 for North Bend Middle School Network Infrastructure RFQ.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. Okay, item 10, calendar proposal approval. Action requested school year 2022 to 2023 and school year 2023 to 24. Kevin.
Yes, we have a few folks going to talk about this, but I'll just, as they're coming up, I think Christina's coming up. We have, per our agreements, we do a joint calendar committee, and we made a little bit of a change a year ago to approve 3 years of calendars. Obviously, some things have changed in the last year and a half. And so we're making a few edits, and we know that this needs to come back for board approval. So I'll turn it over to Christina to share a little bit of some changes, and then I can also help with some questions.
So there are 3 major changes, 3 things that we're kind of keeping from so we had the old calendar, we had the kind of emergency calendar we ended up with this year. And then we wanted to kind of keep some of the things from the new calendar going into the future, and some of them are no longer necessary. The 3 things that we wanted to keep, one was moving the early release days to Friday. The other was keeping them as a 2-hour early release instead of a 1-hour early release. We thank you for all of the extra in-service days that we got this year. They really made the difference for us getting through the year versus not. We don't need that many next year. We are asking to add one additional in-service day from normal in the calendar, so that's fewer than this year. And that would still give us 2 more teacher contact days than Coos Bay would. And what we're going to do is Barb, our amazing 5th grade teacher from North Bay, is going to speak first to the elementary perspective. And then Jana, our equally amazing Bridges English teacher, who's a rock star and teaches like all kinds of English, all levels, is going to talk about her perspective, and I will back clean up.
Okay, first of all, I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for the support that you gave us this year. And I just want to talk about our early release being moved from Wednesday to Friday. And I was kind of skeptical about that at first because it's really psychological. But it used to be on Wednesday, it was like, woohoo, I'm halfway through the week, I can make it. And I was like, oh, if we go to Friday, you know, I don't know how I'll get through it. But when we started doing those early releases on Friday, I was just amazed because first of all, the thing we missed that we missed out on, and this is a good thing, was that Friday afternoon slump that comes in that last hour of Friday. And you're trying to figure out how can you keep those kids engaged and doing something meaningful during that time. And it's a psychological thing for the kids as well, because you know, I was thinking about this and it's like, oh, well, you just move that to Thursday afternoon slump. No, it doesn't work that way. They still are engaged on Thursday afternoon. And the fact that we are getting out early on Friday just seems like they think they've won the lottery. And they are, at least in my world, they stay engaged right up till the end. And that's been like humongous. And I feel like we get more accomplished on Friday with the 2-hour early release than we did trying to just drag them through those last 2 hours on Friday afternoon. When they didn't want to be there. And the elementary kids are really good. They try to do what they're supposed to, but they still had a hard time there. And then the other thing that I just wanted to talk about is that the extra hour that we are getting has turned out to be really, really a boon to us because our workloads are so heavy. I can't speak for every teacher, but I know teachers spend hours after school, before school. I spend on average anywhere between 4 to 8 hours on Saturday at the school. And so to get this extra hour, I just have some time that I can start the planning, and it helps cut down on that. And then in the elementary world, well, actually, I know in the middle school, they've adopted a new ELA curriculum, and we're starting a new ELA curriculum next year for elementary. So that extra hour is going to be really helpful because as teams, PLCs, that we start working together to work out the bugs and figure out what to do. And then just a final thing is just to know quality teaching takes time. And it takes way more time than 7:45 to 3:45. And so it's really, really appreciated that we have that extra hour per week. And so thank you.
Thank you. As Janet comes up, I did attach one of the questions that came up. I think it was in June when we were talking about this, was around absences on Fridays. And so I attached the data from the last 3 years, so back from 2019 to current, and maybe the current year is the only one that you want to look at. But actually, the attendance, the best day of the week for attendance is Friday. So I thought that was sort of interesting data. So I think I've heard that just anecdotally across the district, like the Fridays, it is not a decline in enrollment of attendance, even with the early dismissal. So.
Great.
Thanks for including that.
I just want to also thank you for giving us the time. It has made a big difference in preparation and catching up. And it's also given us an opportunity to collaborate with special ed teachers and counselors in that time that we just didn't have before. This is not just my perspective, but this is also the perspective from other teachers at the high school. But we do spend a lot of time before school and at lunchtime and during our prep time and even after school trying to help students catch up. And there comes a point where
you're just tired. And so these days have just really helped, I think, build morale. I think it's helped prevent burnout for a lot of teachers. And it just has helped us catch up or maybe get to where we should be instead of falling further behind. In addition, we really hope that you choose to give us these extra hours because there's a lot of teachers who also sub during their prep. So they lose that prep time, which makes them get even more behind. And I also wanted to just again talk about morale. It's kind of inspiring and enlightening that when you have this time, you feel like you can go talk to a teacher and say, hey, how was your day? We can help lift each other's spirits a little bit more. Going back to Fridays, as a parent who has a daughter in band and in track and field, it was really, really hard this year. And I don't know how she would have made it without those Fridays. There were times when Thursday she had a band competition and then she had to leave Friday morning at 5 for a track and field competition and then another band competition on Saturday. And so just having that little bit of time off, those shorter classes, sometimes they're study hall days, but there's not always as much coursework. And again, that gives those 2 hours, those precious 2 hours, that gives an opportunity for kids to come in and get the help that we need. And I know that my daughter really appreciated that as well. So we thank you for your consideration and for your support of teachers. Thank you.
The last thing I want to open Christine is going to talk a little bit more about instructional hours.
Yeah, well,
Another
I definitely want you to say your piece as well, sir, Superintendent. One of the things that I did want to close by saying is I want you to think back to when you were in high school. I still remember what dittos smell like. We used to have the curriculum that came with the textbook, and that was what you learned off of. That the worksheets were dittoed or photocopied. The tests came with the book. They had the logo of Houghton Mifflin, I don't know, across the top. And that was what you taught. And in those days before computers were really big, it wasn't really like we could edit it anyway, unless the teacher did it on their typewriter and then we all complained that we couldn't read it. Now, and in those days, high school teachers got their 1 period of prep a day and elementary teachers got, when the kids were in gym, they got to grade their papers. But being a teacher's changed a lot since 2000 when I graduated. Seems like a very long time ago now. Now we're doing a new unit on the universe. So excited about this. We get to talk about orbital motion and black holes and all this kind of really cool stuff. But in order for me to deliver the curriculum, which isn't, I had to go to a 2-hour training. I'm having to write things and fiddle things because things that worked at Beaverton where they developed it don't work here. And we don't have this. And the guy was like, yeah, we do these stations where all the kids are watching videos. And I'm like, how do you do that in a small classroom? And he's like, you have a small classroom? I teach at Mountainside. And I'm like, okay, never mind. So it's just, we have to do a lot of the fiddling. And you guys are adopting a great curriculum for elementary English, but that's not going to be, all of what the kids learn. The teachers are going to be on Teacher Pay Teacher, finding that one kid that's obsessed with turtles, a thing on turtles and words that end with the letter E or that sort of thing, just to get kids engaged and to supplement and that sort of thing. And that's what makes a good teacher. But since the amount of prep time we've been given hasn't increased from the days when it was okay to just photocopy everything with the textbook, grade on your prep and go home. So this is going to go a long way to allowing us to be better teachers, to allow us to maintain what we're doing without getting too burned out. So thank you, and I hope you consider this calendar proposal. Thank you, sir.
Yes, we get to the nuts and bolts of this. I attached the minutes requirement that's through Division 22, and thanks to the hard work of Melanie Muller, she goes through these calendars, goes minute by minute. So she has a spreadsheet that calculates this all, but that's attached for both years, and you can see where we exceed the required hours at all levels for this year in this calendar. It gets a little tight at high school, so that's where, and you kind of see that. So there's not a ton of wiggle room in this around the high school level, but we certainly exceed this at the K-8 level pretty easily.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Well, then do it.
Right.
I move to approve the calendar changes as presented.
A second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
All those opposed? I
All
don't
those
know.
opposed?
I
We have one opposed.
I just think we needed to talk about it. I thought we were going to talk about it, and I thought we were going to revisit the whole idea. I didn't know we were just going to automatically transfer approve. I understand where they're coming from, and I totally get it, but I thought we were going to have a conversation. But that's the only reason I'm voting no, is I thought we were going to talk about it.
Are we able to recant that motion so she can provide comments?
If you want to hold a motion back, I believe you can do that for discussion, but we will need a motion and a second by the end of the discussion.
I just wanted a report on kids being absent on Fridays. I mean, I've heard stories that it's a skip day. I mean, we can talk about it. I don't know. We don't need to talk about it. The motion carries. So just because one person objects, it doesn't matter. It's okay. Totally cool. I'm good with that.
I provided some data for Fridays, and that day, at least from looking at from this current year, wasn't a less day absences than any other day of the week. And actually, it's the best day of the week in terms of attendance. But I didn't drill too far deep into that around by level or class or school. So again, this could have different, and depending different levels may have a different take on that as well. We still have, I mean, again, I almost feel that chart I gave you is still, there's a lot of absences every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, compared to previous year, yeah.
No, we have a lot of absences, so there's a concern about that in general.
So page 25 has that chart. I find it surprising there's lower absences on a Friday where a person might be inclined to cut out early. So Julie, do we want to?
The motion carries.
Yeah, the motion carries. It's fine.
Okay, we're done.
Make sure that we present discussion prior to a motion being made.
No vote.
No,
Prior
after
to
the
the
vote,
vote.
before the
Prior
vote.
to the vote being taken.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah. Gotcha. Good point. Thank you. Okay, next item is 11, summer learning.
All right. Amongst all the chaos at the end of the year, we have a core group of people that are busy, engaged, and planning for this year's summer school. They're taking that on top of the duties they already have, putting long hours, getting things prepped from that. And I want to let you know that summer school's changed a little bit from what it has last year. And it's changed for a couple of reasons, partially based on funding. As you saw on the board cover sheet, we received less than half the amount that we did last year in one program, and right about half the amount that we did in the other program. So we're unable to offer the same level of services we did before. And part of it's based on student needs, as we did a little bit of analysis of where students were and what they needed. Last year was a transition back to in-person learning. If you remember this time last year, we're talking, oh boy, masks are going away. We can get rid of this cohorting and meeting in small groups. And so we really had a focus on social emotional learning last year, bringing kids back in, engaging and learning and engaging in the buildings that they had. And we serve students primarily on a first come, first served basis. And we tried to encourage all kids to get back into school, into programs, and re-engage with their schools. This year with a limited focus, a limited funding focus, and really the state's emphasis on unfinished learning and filling educational gaps, we're going to serve those kids that have the biggest academic need and try to fill some of that unfinished learning that they have there. And these are the kids that are most impacted by the pandemic. The kids that learn a little bit differently, that learn in person better than they learned on distance learning, that when we went to a half-day program, they really needed that individual support there. And we're going to try to give them some of that individual support to fill the need. Still in a fun-based program, but with some specific academic focus on there, on the targeted skills that they need to have in there. Our summer school program is going to run July 11th through August 11th. It'll be in the morning. It'll be at Hillcrest, North Bay, Hillcrest, the middle school and the high school. North Bay students will come to Hillcrest, and that's partially to accommodate busing and transportation needs and programs to start kind of simultaneously, so we don't have to duplicate services and we can provide, you know, the best use of our funding as we move forward. We're going to ask students at the K-8 level to attend all 5 weeks so that we can have an impact on their learning and make some progress on that learning. The high school is going to operate on a credit recovery model to fill the gap for those kids that have, you know, credit deficiencies in there. Again, we're going to provide busing. As soon as we get the lists of students that want to attend developed, we're going to try to accommodate transportation as close as we can to where they're at, and as many of those kids as we possibly can. We're going to provide breakfast and lunch to those students. We're going to select students at the K-8 level on a predetermined need basis as we do that, and we're going to invite them through a variety of means. I know that elementary is a little bit ahead and further along in development of the program. They got to start a week earlier in planning than our middle school and high school program did. Our TOSAs were involved in some other activities there and didn't get to start quite as early. So they're currently having elementary teachers call parents of students that meet that criteria, and we've looked at academic concerns in there, and we've targeted the most needy kids in there with that program. And we're going to move up the list until we get as many kids as we can in there. We want them to attend all 5 weeks. We'd like them to do that, but we're going to be considerate of vacations and other things in there. And if they can commit to the vast majority of that, then we're going to enroll them in that summer school program. Each program at each level is going to look a little bit different. Elementary is going to look a little bit different than the middle school, and the middle school is going to look a little different than the high school. And I've got TOSAs here today from each of the programs. It's going to give you a little overview of what they currently have planned in there. Lisa Harden's at the elementary level, Riley Grandinetti is at the middle school level, and Corey Gall's the TOSA at the high school level. Lisa's going to start us out with a little bit about the elementary program. Lisa?
So at the elementary level, we're creating a program that balances academics with engaging activities. We have 8 different grade band configurations, and we're enrolling approximately 20 students in each of those grade bands. Classroom teachers are in the process of making those phone calls. They started that process yesterday, and we've enrolled 40 students so far, and those numbers are increasing by the minute. The structure of each course will be similar, with 25 to 30 minutes of small group reading instruction focusing on identified skill deficit areas, 25 to 30 minutes of small group math instruction focusing on essential grade level skills, and 20 minutes of math fluency practice with growth incentives built into the program. Approximately an hour and a half will be thematic-based instruction and activities designed to capture student interest. Some of those courses will include space, insects, nature, Jedi Academy, music, and STEM. And students will remain in their grade level course, and the teachers will rotate throughout those 5 weeks, so they're exposed to a variety of topics.
Thank you.
Okay, for the middle school, we're going to use kind of a block schedule format for the students. So it'd be nice for the incoming 5th graders to kind of have an idea of middle school and transition to new classes. It'll be split into 2 different groups, a yellow and a blue group when they first get on the first Monday. Students will have 4 different classes per week. So they'll go to 2 classes a day for two different teachers. The next day they'll go to 2 different classes with 2 separate teachers. We'll be offering classes between math, English language arts, science, outdoor education, and some reading classes as well. Kind of the fun elective classes with outdoor education for the students, because we want to also make this a fun experience for them, but also academic building as well. We'll be looking to get all the test scores for the students tomorrow, so we can start making our phone calls next week to get our students there. Our target goal is to get 90 students, so 30 each grade level. We'll be keeping the 6th graders separate and then the 7th and 8th graders combined together. Looking to make this a good, fun experience for them, but also build the academic needs as well.
So on the testing, is that the Smarter Balance test results?
Yes, we're waiting to, we'll get the results tomorrow from all
Okay.
Star. Yeah. Yep, STAR testing.
Okay.
Yeah.
District STAR testing.
So at the high school level, we've I've been pulling teeth to try to get different teachers involved. Trying to cover every core subject area. We've got a couple teachers teaching some English, some science, some social studies. Math is a little trickier one. Typically I'm the one that does a lot of summer school math stuff. So me in this position makes that a little bit harder. My colleagues are typically busy during the summer. So I have some ways that we can take care of some math deficiencies if needed through a credit recovery model. But yeah, so social studies, we've got a lot of fine arts that I think kids will like enrolling in. We're doing kind of the 2 week at 3 hours a day for 4 days a week model, just so that they can get as many credits as they can. Involved in that, we do have just a strict credit recovery model that kids can choose classes that they just work on self-paced. And then kind of the most important one that I'm really banking on, a friend of mine, is our freshman academy for our incoming ninth graders are going to be expected to take a 2 week class that, engages them in what it takes to be a student at the high school, as well as, getting a tour of the campus, just trying to familiarize, the ones that need the most help, making that transition to being successful. So, and then if you guys want, I do have our course offerings. It's a working document, but if you want it, I can definitely give it to you. So that's it.
The one thing we didn't mention is we're really going to focus on transition services for kids. Those incoming kindergartners will have an opportunity for a separate course. Those kids moving from 5th to 6th grade, especially those ones that are identified as having some deficits, are struggling a little bit, we'll make sure that they have an orientation course. And the same thing for those moving on to 9th grade. So those current 8th graders will receive summer school at the high school. Those current 5th graders will receive summer school at the middle school, kind of a transition into those programs. And of course, incoming kindergartners will receive services at the building that they will be attending as well. So if you have any questions, you've got the audience here. We'll be glad to try to answer them. It's a work in progress. It's been a short time frame, and these folks have all put a lot of effort in and a lot of time to get things in place, and we'll be putting a lot more to make it work. So we've got a lot of dedicated teachers that have decided that they want to step up and put some time in, even though they're tired. I can tell you, Christina's signed up for, what is it, 4 weeks, I think? 4 weeks. Ed's doing 5. We've got some teachers doing all 5 weeks. Some are doing a selected week or 2, but they're trying to fill the void so that we can offer opportunities for kids and a little different focus. They all know that if we can improve the academic performance of those kids coming to us next year, their job's going to be that much easier because those kids will have the skills coming in, and that's our goal.
So I think I had a conversation with you maybe a couple weeks ago, and I think this is what I recall. Elementary looked pretty good for the teachers. Middle school, we were still.
I think
Did middle school came good? Okay.
Right,
And then
crack the whip over there. We're drawing.
okay. Corey, you need a math teacher.
Yeah, I mean, I got 11 teachers, but
How many? What was your target?
as many as I could get.
Okay.
I'm greedy, so.
On an unrelated topic, just so I don't forget it, congratulations to you and the girls 5A state championship. That's a huge deal. Congratulations, Corey and the girls and Mike.
Yeah.
So yeah, congrats.
I'll tell them, but they'll be embarrassed.
I do also, I want to acknowledge this group, I was on a call just this last week with superintendents. There is a lot of school districts that will not be offering summer programs, and pretty much was like, well, why not? It is because they don't have teachers, that they're twisted arms. I don't know what these guys are doing. I appreciate them, and it's their leadership, and this wouldn't be done without them. And so this is going to happen because of them, and it's not happening across the state because other folks don't have dedicated teachers like we do. So it's something to be applauded. They did it last year. They're doing it this year. It's amazing. So I do think they deserve the recognition, and I'm confident it'll be a great program. But there's a lot of kids that'll be missing out across our state because of just folks are tired.
Any further questions from the board or discussion?
No, I just think it looks like a really great plan.
Yeah.
Great job.
And thank you all for stepping up.
Yes.
Okay, good deal. Okay, next agenda item number 12, elementary school ELA adoption action requested. Bruce Martin.
Yes, I'm ready. Here we go. We've completed the process of reviewing the state approved ELA curriculums for K-5 and are ready to make a recommendation to the board. It's been a long awaited recommendation for our teachers. Our last adoption for ELA was 2007. A long time to have the same curriculum in there. Current curriculum provides almost no online access at all of any materials. And it doesn't even provide a direct tie to the state standards. It's working off of previous standards, and we have a correlation of standards in there. So as we looked at curriculum materials, we looked at a combination of factors that we wanted to make sure the new curriculums had as they come in. We wanted to make sure that the language arts concepts were presented in a very articulated manner in the curriculums, that they were clear, and the scope of sequence was outlined very well, and the skills of attainment was very apparent for us in there. We wanted to make sure it had a strong focus on foundational skill building, because our district has long believed that we need to provide those foundational skills explicitly taught at those elementary grade levels, those core essential skills at the K through second grade level, to make sure that kids master those initial reading concepts. And we wanted to have effective teaching strategies incorporated in the materials. We wanted to have a priority on preparing students to meet rigorous standards out there and make sure that the materials had that. And we wanted to include high quality hard copy and digital options. Digital options are essential in today's society. We wanted to make sure that there was accessibility for all students that need additional support, and students on the high end as well. We wanted to make sure our materials would meet all those needs. And we wanted a very high usability. We wanted something that was easy for teachers to use, that came in, new teachers, and provided the necessary components for our master teachers to go beyond as well. I want to take a minute to remind you of the process that we went through. We know this is our biggest adoption at the elementary level, and so we've put a lot of time and effort into this. We've tried to keep the board involved in the process all the way through that we did this, and we started back in November with the process, and that's when the state really released their list of approved curriculums out there. And we started then by putting together a core group of teachers that wanted to be part of the piloting process and the review of materials. We had 17 teachers step up and agree to pilot materials for us in there. It started with the review of the state approved curriculums in there, and they went through a textbook caravan and listened to the manufacturer or the curriculum publishers out there of all the materials that were there. From that, we got together and we kind of pared it down to the 4 top curriculums and ordered samples of those materials. Those teachers got together and they were given time, and they perused those curriculums and went through them and did a detailed dive into what they were. And then we got together as a group again, and they limited those curriculums down to their 2 top ones. It was a pretty easy choice when we got in there to get them to 2. And we contacted those publishers and asked if we could pilot those 2 programs. Said we need 15 classrooms of materials, and they kind of said, wow, that's a lot for a district your size. I said, that's what we want. We want to make sure that we have a good pilot. We want to make sure that we have the curriculum that meets the needs of our students. So they agreed to that. They sent us materials, and we had those 15 classrooms, at least 2 grades, or at least 2 classrooms in each grade level were able to pilot the materials for 6 weeks apiece. We ran a program that was very consistent. We had the same in-service time from each of the curriculums in there. We had a follow-up time. We identified strengths. We identified weaknesses and shared those with our curriculum representatives, and targeted our in-service around the weaknesses to ensure that they weren't just things that they hadn't trained us on or made us aware of as we went through. After we were done, and that happened from February until May. In May, we got back together as a team, and we came up, and there was a clear consensus throughout that entire time, or when we got together again, after we reviewed the curriculums, that Houghton Mifflin, Harcourt, their HMH into reading program, the 2022 edition, was the clear program that was selected by the vast majority of the teachers in there as the curriculum that we would recommend and move forward with moving into adoption phase for us. We've made all the way along the way, we've made the materials available for public review. We've had it on the website. We've published it in some of the district pages we've had and in newsletters. It's been in PTA meetings that we've had in there, asking for parents to look at. We've had some parents look at the curriculum, haven't had a lot of input on it. We've had several look at it. We did have one person that did a deep dive into the curriculum as well and reviewed it, very thoroughly, at least the anthology and the teacher edition supports in there. It's hard to get all the materials out to people to look at, especially when you get into the digital materials, to really look at that. But I think we made a good choice in there. I'd like the Heather Fleming to come up, and she's been directly involved. She's a TOSA within the buildings that was involved with the actual implementation and work with the teachers in there, and talk a little bit about the curriculum for just a second before we move forward. Heather?
So the old curriculum is as old as I am in North Bend. So its first year was also my first year. And a lot has changed in ELA curriculum in the last 15 years. So now, instead of the hardback anthology, the HMH has this, it's called the Student My Book, and your stories are right in here, and it kind of has like a newsprint paper, and the kids get to interact with their stories. They can highlight, underline, circle, look for main ideas, details. Some of the younger kids can be looking for that phonics skill that they're working on for the week. And then there's some comprehension in the work in the anthology as well. So you're interacting with that text. And so you get the students get a new book every year for the life of the adoption. So that's included in that price. But we also have our decodable readers, our trade books, our leveled readers are all real books, which are also available online, which is brand new. There was no online component whatsoever. He said few, but there was none for the old curriculum. It might be older than the internet. But with the new curriculum, the HMH had the superior foundational skills. What we've done with the old curriculum is layer on top with supplemental materials to get the foundational skills. If you haven't seen the data coming in for the spring dibbles at the elementary, I highly recommend looking at it. It is fantastic. We have one building with kindergarten over 80% at benchmark. I think they started around 6%, or it was low in the fall. So they're doing fantastic things in the classroom with a 15-year-old curriculum. So I'm excited to see where we can go with something up to date that aligns with the state standards. The technology piece is phenomenal. It integrates with Google Classroom. The teachers can assign certain things through their Google Classroom to the kids. It can link them right in, they can do their stories digitally. If quarantine is still a thing next year, it's really easy to get the content at home. We're not sending home books and photocopies of books. We can rip their pages out. We can assign it digitally. We can get the content to the kids, even when they're not in the classroom. The amount of resources are designed to be more than you could ever use. So the teachers are going to be able to pick what their kids need. There's lots of options for all the skills that you're teaching, along with small group instruction. They have some ready-made stations and center activities that you can just download and print, and they're ready to go for the teachers. So that will help with a lot of the prep time, having things just readily available. And if you have any questions, I do have some of the books with me tonight if anybody wants to look at them later, but if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them for you.
I do have a question. You said on the technology part, is it strictly restricted to just being on a computer type thing, or do they have apps that kids can have on their phone to interact with?
I'm not sure about the phone, and at the elementary level, we discourage them from being on their phones since they all have a Chromebook.
Okay.
They
Just
all
thinking
have a
like at
school
home or
Chromebook.
something like that when they do homework.
Yeah,
or,
if,
you know.
when, in like in a quarantine situation, we always make sure that they get their Chromebook. I've
Okay.
delivered probably 20 Chromebooks to homes that, for families that cannot get to the school, we would do a drop off at their
Okay.
house. So we make sure they have the technology. I know we also have had hotspots available for families if they don't have internet. So we make sure that they have the access to the material.
Okay.
But in the classroom, it would all be on their Chromebook.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any more comments or discussion on this topic?
Nope.
I love how involved the staff were in picking this out, I think, and the parents. That I think you guys did a great job just involving staff and getting their feedback on it throughout the whole development of choosing. So it's great.
Yeah, the flexibility in the program seems to be needed because, yeah, I still think it will be around next year, quarantine wise. So it's good to have the flexibility and the option. So,
Certainly hope not.
well, hey, yeah, I agree.
Mr. Realistic.
Didn't get it.
I mean,
There's one more thing. I think you need to commend the students on this because if there's 17 teachers, that means there were 17 classrooms. These kids
Absolutely.
know really
Yes.
well.
Sure.
We went, anybody that was piloting, we went through 3 different reading curriculums this year.
Wow.
They
That's a great
all,
point.
They rolled right in from one to another to another.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
The kids were really.
It's a great point.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Laura was one of them. Pilot.
I move to adopt HMH into reading as the state approved English language arts elementary school curriculum for North Bend School District.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? say-
Discussion.
Oh, discussion? Thank you, Derek.
Yeah.
Further discussion? Okay, we'll vote on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No nays. The motion passed. BLA adopted. Okay, item 13, ESD online education action requested.
She'll be here momentarily. Is it okay if we skip over that one and we'll come right back to it?
Okay, we will leave 13, come back to it, and go on to item 14, enrollment history and report.
Yeah, so this came up, I think, some discussions we've had over the last couple of months around just some concerns. I think it came up in our budget process around some concerns with declining enrollments. And so I just wanted to share a few things that have come out. One, this isn't a unique problem to North Bend. In my report, I shared some data across the state, and Oregon is at 3.7%. I think you can kind of see where that might be, which one of those red lines on my chart is there, but they're all down, some upwards of 6% or nearly 6% of missing enrollment. The next chart kind of breaks that down by Oregon in 21-22, and probably the most alarming out of that, and I'm sure it stands out to everyone here, is 15% of our kindergartners are missing statewide. And again, we saw our numbers drop a little bit, but that's just a concern overall around where did our youngest kids, they decided not to enter school, the parents kind of just pulled them a year. So we're gonna be watching to see if all of a sudden we're gonna have some influx of kindergartners across our state in the coming year. And how do we recover some of this if some are being successful in other programs. And so again, how do we talk about the success of our public schools, and this is a good place for kids to be educated and to access lots of other opportunities. So it's one of those things I think we're going to have to continue to monitor and watch. If our enrollment trend again has fluctuated. It's been declining over the last few years. If you kind of look over though, I gave a chart over the last almost 10 years, we're kind of flat, right? I mean, it's gone up and down. We're now kind of back to that where that enrollment peak was or where that enrollment mark was about 10 years ago. And again, coming out of a pandemic, in many ways you could say, well, that's not too bad. And other districts certainly experienced a greater loss than what we have. I don't have a lot of answers here for you today. I certainly, and again, I feel like one of the things that we want to do is to start to look at this a little more carefully. So I'm proposing to create really an attendance and dropout task force this coming year. We have our Jason Moore, who's our community outreach and communication specialist, that position. He's leaving. As we bring in a new person into that role, I feel like just adding some of this oversight, because this is where we need to do some additional community outreach, family outreach, and developing those relationships. And there's a team across our district working on this also. And so really pulling together multiple people as we look at where are our kids going. Their first task would to review every single student and family who has left the district in the past year, and so that we can account for every single kid. Are they attending school? Where are they attending school? And so that piece is really important. And we have some data. We get some of those. There is quite a few missing kids where we don't have data. So their first task would be to look at that and then monitor this throughout the year. So when I come back to you a year from now, and we talk about attendance, we should be able to say, it's like, we know exactly where every single kid in this district went to and why. And I think that's going to be really important as we try to tackle some of those issues around why are people leaving. We need that information, kind of long-term, short-term, as we make adjustments. We made some assumptions. You know, you're hearing tonight a few different things that's all somewhat related around attendance. You're hearing us adapt and expand the NBSD program. That is in response to kids and families wanting an alternative ed program. You're going to talk a little bit about consent to Coquille. That really is, I wouldn't be here today, and we'll talk more about this, without offering programs that serve all kids. And so again, making sure that we're providing all the opportunities for folks. So the other part of this is there's a recent change in state law that at one point we were allowed to find, we could have a truancy officer. It's not really an officer in the sense, it's sort of a district assigned officer. And they have the authority per statute to fine families, upwards of like $350 for truancy. Recent state law says you can't do that, that we're not able to fine students in this manner. And so we're kind of trying to get additional information from the state as well as others. But really what this calls for is us to connect and coordinate with DHS, our district attorney, juvenile department, North Bend Police Department, and whoever else we can get at the table to help us with our kids and families who are most not participating in the school setting. Like they're not doing homeschool, they're not participating, they're not signed up for private school, charter school, any public school in the state. We need some help when they say, well, my son or daughter I can't get them out of the house, or they took a job and they decided not to go to school. Our laws say that you attend school until the age of 18. And so how do we enforce that? So we're going to need some cooperation from folks other than district staff. You know, we can go knock on doors and develop relationships with families. At the end of the day, if they refuse, we feel stuck. And so we need to connect with these partners. So again, that part of that task force will be, what exactly should we do when folks are sort of resistant to all of our outreach, providing opportunities, creating more individualized programs like Corey and his staff are doing at Bridges. What are we doing to kind of connect and meet the needs of kids? So that is going to be a huge part of this. And obviously we need to listen to our families, listen to our kids. What do they want us to provide in the North Bend public schools? I can say it's like, if we don't get a handle on this, and there's a reason that we're presenting this along with some of these other opportunities, because when enrollment drives programs, it drives all those great CTE programs that we all love and our kids love to be part of. We can't have as many if we have fewer kids. Those are the kinds of things, those opportunities for kids, those access to those kinds of things go away the smaller you get. Go find any small district in Oregon and you'll see they may have one CTE strand. I think we have 5, 6. Almost unheard of. We are competing, certainly at the 6 CTEs, like we're competing with the 5A, 6A schools in the state. We're having that many programs. But I'm sure you can go to just about any other 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A school in the state, and you're not going to find this many opportunities. So it's one of those, I think we take pride in that, but we're also going to need to stabilize enrollment to maintain that. And that sometimes means maybe making some tougher decisions on how we do that and some rules we put in place to protect the very programs that we're so proud of. And so again, that's in a nutshell my report on this tonight. I will promise you that we'll create this this task force and we will spend more time in the coming year really diving into this and again, almost like no kid left unturned. Like we're gonna know. I think one of the things I saw a report where there's a couple months ago 39 students who on a 10-day drop who we didn't have any information, and we're making some efforts to do that. But I don't want to sort of effort. I want to know exactly what's happening. Every single kid accounted for so that we know, and then we're bringing them back in school and we're figuring out what we need to do. So I'll certainly engage some conversation and questions around this. It's not an easy topic. I don't think there is an easy answer, and I wanted partly to see that this isn't just North Bend. It's not like we're doing something to drive families away, kids away. It's a systemic problem across our state and across the country. And again, it might be one of those bigger questions. I know Karis has been pushing at. What can the state do? They see this number. I've heard her on our state calls asking them, like, why aren't you more concerned about this? 30,000 kids missing in our state, not attending public school, or maybe not attending any school. Like, why aren't more people concerned about that? And why isn't the state investing in resources to help us get there? We may get that in the coming months, I'm going to guess, because we're going to continue to share that story.
Any comments or questions for Kevin?
Well, I mean, I think this is going to roll into the next two topics. So I think it's going to be a much larger conversation. But we're talking about enrollment and how enrollment drives dollars, and we need dollars to make things work, and we need students to make dollars. It's this whole machine, right? And so then we're going to go into interdistrict transfers and then saying, whether or not we want to improve those, but then we're going to also discuss about whether or not we let people go. So it becomes the Hotel California at a certain point. Like, you're welcome to come, but you can never leave.
Yeah.
And it is a very hard discussion to have. Like, what do you do? How do you make these things work? Where are the kids? There's so much that goes into this that it's just, it's absolutely mind-boggling. It's fun stuff. It's really crazy, and it's going to be more crazier in the next few conversations.
Yes.
I guess my thoughts, if you're running a business and you had 30,000 customers gone and you were down 3.7%, almost 4% in enrollment, you'd find out why, and you would know why. We need to find out that locally, and the state needs to have a reflection moment and ask why. And I suspect they have had some answers, but don't wish to share them at this point. I'm speculating wildly, but that's my speculation. So I find it 14.6, almost 15% in kindergarten. That's pretty remarkable. So.
Mm-hmm.
So Kevin, when we say dropped, we are talking about the students who we don't have any communication with, or does that include the students who dropped and transferred somewhere else?
When I'm talking just dropped.
Okay.
When they transfer somewhere else, we get a records request, and I know, hey, you enrolled in Beaverton School District. Great, accounted for, right? You moved to Beaverton, you enrolled in Beaverton School, excellent. And sometimes they tell us, hey, we're enrolling in X,
right? And
then we don't get anything. I've been doing this for a long time. We do not accept kids without doing a records request. And I can look to my students, we all do records requests. We get the kids in, where was the last school you attended? And we request your records, and the school sends them to us. That happens every single time. So when we don't get those, we need to do some extra work, because it's the kids sort of floating around in the system. I don't know where they're not floating, but they're out there, not attending school, or they're attending school and they haven't signed up that homeschool is an option. But it's a requirement that you register with our ESD. So you're accounted in our system. Our homeschool students are required to test per state law. So there is some tracking and monitoring of our students who are enrolled. It is a little bit alarming that we're not more concerned about this. And again, I feel like there's enough of us that are starting to raise this at the state level that we are going to see some action coming from the legislature and probably the state level.
Good. Thank you for the data and the good discussion.
It looks like this will be certainly to be continued.
That's any further? Okay. Well, 14, we'll mark that as complete, and we will go back to 13, and the star of the show is here, Karis.
So I don't know if Kirsten Gay's been here before. She is.
Yeah.
She's been here before.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not in this particular, maybe soon. She did work with all of you earlier this year. So yes, how quickly the year goes by. And she is the new superintendent of the Fiscal District.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I hope you don't hold that against me. I'm very excited, but thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I'm late. I just got done with 3 hours and 15 minutes of bargaining. So I fortunately we're close. So thank you. And tonight I just am here. I don't have anything too formal. I want to talk to you about a new service that I think you all received some preliminary information in February about at your board meeting at the ESD at the request of several of the superintendents of the region. They asked us this year to look into providing a new service, a new service, ESD service, an online learning program. It is currently offered in a couple of ESDs around the state, do offer this service. It is not a school, but what we are setting up is an online learning program for interested districts in our region. If they have students and families who would like to have an online option that is flexible, where the students remain enrolled in their home district and in their neighborhood schools, we can provide the online learning coursework. And I'm here to introduce one of our teachers online, Lisa Trottier. She is one of our, she has over a decade experience of online teaching, so that this families who choose to participate not only have access to licensed teachers who are teaching the online content, but facilitating teachers who support individual needs of the students. So that's the big picture on that. We're coming up with a flexible model where students, and this was all predicated on your previous conversation, at the beginning of the year, the ESD, all homeschool families in the region enroll with the Education Service District. And we noticed at the beginning of the year that the numbers have doubled in the region of homeschool families. 2 years ago, it was about 450, and now we're at over 900 homeschool families. And my secretary answers all the homeschool parents calling in about it. And, whenever they call, we get, weekly calls about this. The frequent question is, well, do you have an online curriculum we can use? Families who are looking for, a state-aligned, high-quality online curriculum, and we have always answered no. We don't have any curricular supports to offer. So with the districts in the region looking at the declining enrollment and looking at a large percentage of that declining enrollment is increase in homeschooling families. So how can we make sure we support, for example, that group of families? So the different flexibility of this family, a student can enroll full-time and do a full course like kindergarten through grade 12, or the curriculum that we're asking the North Bend board to consider approving this evening, the online curriculum, can also be individual courses. So for example, if there's, it could be for a myriad of reasons. So for example, suppose you have a student in need of home instruction for medical reasons, for example, they could take online courses, they would still be enrolled. You could have a family who wants to take certain courses online, but wants to do other courses in person. They could take some classes online. They could go to North Bend High School and take whatever ones they want in person, or they can take like an AP class. So this curriculum offers AP, honors, it offers electives, it offers career and technical education. So it's a pretty broad list of courses that families would have the ability, students could enroll one class up to full time. So it just offers a flexible option. And the state requirement why we're here is if North Bend would like to, participate, the school board needs to approve the use of the online curriculum. So what we did is in December, once the at this monthly superintendent's meeting of the region, the superintendents gave me the green light as the ESD superintendent to go ahead and start developing this program. We formed a collaborative adoption, curricular instructional materials selection committee, and asked superintendents to assign or invite anybody that in their district that might be interested in participating. And we just followed the state adoption process. I worked with ODE. They made it clear that this is considered core instructional materials. I was trying to argue it's supplemental because you all have your core instruction. This was meant to be supplementing that, but ODE didn't have that interpretation. They insisted that in order for the students in your district to have access to what they consider core curriculum, that you all need to approve it. So the selection committee, and we had two amazing, are they both here? Is Tiffany here? Hi. We had Tiffany and Bruce both participated as representing North Bend on the selection process, so they could talk in depth about the process. But we used the state process. We used the state criteria for selecting instructional materials, rubric. We cast a wide net, looked at a lot of different curriculum. They had a rubric they all evaluated. And what was interesting, they were making a recommendation to me about what the ESD should consider. It was unanimous. They all reached consensus that Accelerate Education was the online curriculum that they would like the region to use. It has already been adopted by the Reedsport School Board and the Port Orford Langlis School Board. So we already had a couple of school boards approve, and students are participating. So that's what we're here. That's the snapshot of why we're here, and be happy to answer any of your questions.
So you said that these individuals, these students, if they were to enroll in this program, would still be considered part of their home district, right?
Yes, we are not a school, not a district. So the ADMW and enrollment goes to their resident neighborhood district and school. This is just another service that you all can order from us. It's optional if you all are interested. It's a service. It's not a school. We're not enrolling students or anything as formal enrollment for an attending district.
So when it says students will be taught by certified teachers, so how many have we got?
Well, currently our teachers are through Accelerated Education.
Oh,
and so they do that process of vetting their teachers for Oregon, making sure they have the correct credentials to teach those. And so far with my experience, they're very receptive to our students. I also track what's happening on the teacher level. I also help families and individual students for onboarding. And then I also communicate with the school personnel as far as attendance and any other information, or if they're having troubles with the platform.
How are the what's the cost?
What's the cost currently? It will go down as more people participate.
It's a big number, isn't it?
So we've reached an agreement with the superintendents. It's a revenue neutral service we're offering. So we're cost sharing with the participants. But right now, I think it's the highest it will ever be, but it's for a full-time student about $6,000 for the whole year, full-time. But if we do it on an individual course basis, it gets down to about $450 per course per semester. So $900 for a year-long course for an online, but it's just part of what the districts would put in their, service agreements that they order from the ESD with the ESD funding to be able to pay for that. But as there are more students, the costs will, the per pupil cost will go down, and so this is startup. Another question I've been asked, because this is something as the interim superintendent, we started, what's the ESD's commitment moving forward? The new superintendent coming in the ESD, Paul Peterson, actually started the online learning program at Northwest Education Service District. He has years of experience. He's very excited about this, and he has a lot more years of experience doing online programming at an ESD than I do. So he is deeply, we had a long meeting about it. When was that? Yesterday? I've had 3 days of bargaining. They have all run together, and he is very excited. So he's deeply committed to continuing this service.
Well, I appreciate this flexible option. And I believe it was stated that it would be starting the next school year.
We do have summer school some of like Pacific High School and Reed's Park are using it this summer for summer activities for students with some of their summer school funds. So students, so yes, we are available to start accepting students as needed.
And we currently have summer school students starting already. They already know that they're credit deficient. And so we have them in our credit recovery option.
Yeah.
Kevin, what do you think?
This is, we kind of went down this pathway because we saw a desire and need for some online options that continued. We kind of had we basically said, hey, we're not gonna do this K-8. We still had people who want some options. I think this is, again, they do bump together. We're talking about Coquille. I believe this is a program that matches what offers that Little Lakes is offering. Right? If you want to come in person, we'll offer you some in person. What will that look like? And we'll tailor that to an individual student's needs. And if you want to do it online, you can do online. And that the district has a connection with them. And I think there's many other reasons to have this besides, well, hey, we already have online. Orba is our online virtual provider. Our kids provided here that are enrolled at Hillcrest and online will have access to special education through us in person and work through that. They'll have access to meals that they wouldn't have in the virtual academy. They'll have access to, on the middle school and high school level, access to sports, activities, music, drama. I feel like those are huge benefits. High school access to CTE. So if you want to just be in our culinary program and take the rest of your program through us. And again, I think the last thing I'll say is our design of this is not to pull additional kids away from our All Dead program bridges, not designed to pull away from kids from our comprehensive education. This is really to recoup some of our homeschool students. The number has, I think, just North Bend alone is about 180 kids, something in that neighborhood. Again, will this totally tailor to what our homeschool families are needing or wanting? Probably not. But it's an effort to move in that direction and provide something different and another option. Again, it's the only reason I will come with another agenda on Coquille. It's like if we didn't have this, we wouldn't have that other option or even talk about it. Because I feel like we need to have the options that in our own district before I tell a family that, hey, we want you to try our online and our flexible program before you're going to go across and 30 minutes away to another district.
Well, it's just another access point for them, for the families, right? Like maybe not all access points work, not in a mix. I like your mix options of the CTE plus this. I like it as an idea.
I mean, I see in there like the credit recovery, like didn't make the summer school for credit recovery. This would give them the option.
Right. Yeah, I think this is one of those we're not really even fully aware of how we can best leverage this. It's again just to really conceptualize at this time, so we'll see over time. Even just like how much work is this going to require? And I looked at Bruce and Tiffany around how much work is that going to happen for us around how to help coordinate this? How do we maneuver this with our school and students that are in the brick and mortar schools along with this? So we have some kind of things to figure out with this. I think we're all willing to sort of take on that challenge and figure out how to make this work. I think that's what our families, it feels like that's what they're asking for is some creativity, flexibility, options. And this is another one.
I'll make a motion.
So just so I'm clear, so the big drivers are the homeschoolers and competing with Winter Lakes, essentially.
I would say that, yeah. Again, that's maybe my personal drive for this and moving forward with this. But I think our team has seen that they all agreed. I think our cabinet group and our principals see that this is an option, and that we are struggling to have doing it ourselves. It's so inconsistent, and I know Coos Bay has a big number. I'm not sure that big number will continue. They have 100+ kids in an online. I'm not sure that will continue. And so it gets harder once you get those numbers get smaller for a district like Coos Bay to say, well, how do you offer that ourselves and have enough teachers to offer that? So then again, the prediction I would have is like Coos Bay will transition to an option like this as well. Because again, the more kids that are involved in that, it'll be a prediction. We'll see what comes through.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd move to adopt Accelerated Education as the digital instructional materials for use in the South Coast Education Service District's online learning service.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Nope, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I think we're unanimous. Okay, it passed. Thank you for coming, Karis. Congratulations on your new position.
Yes.
All right, next agenda item we have is 15, admission of non-resident students, inter and intra-district transfers. Action requested.
All right, well, this is done. I share this, but this work, this is the new job. As Amy comes in, my office handles inter-district transfers. And so that paperwork comes to Amy and she sorts through that and organizes it and answers all these questions for families. And in many cases gets lots of additional calls throughout this process until they're granted what you're here today, until we grant them permission to attend. And so that is what today is this is a pretty standard, this is since my tenure here in North Bend, the laws around transfers have changed. They have been pretty consistent now for 4 or 5 years. And so this is a process where the board, we come with a set number where you have to actually disclose or declare the number of openings in the district by level. And so that's what we're here tonight to do. So this is around inter-district transfers, so people outside the district come in. And so we have looked through our numbers, and again, when we're talking about middle school, high school, we have really most of this is driven by space. Do we have space to attract kids or drive kids? And so you see 20 across the board from 6th through 12th grade. We do not have 20 transfer requests. Amy could probably tell us how many we have. It's a number that kind of comes throughout the year, but we don't want to come back in December and ask for this again, or tell a family, hey, yeah, we've taken our 20 kids. So this should cover us from 6th through 12th grade. I think it's, again, not too excessive. So that's on the elementary level. These kids in grades K, which is 14 students, and grades 1 through 5 are actual transfers. This, by accepting these numbers, grants access to every single family that requested to transfer into North Bend. This would grant them approval. So any student who would put their transfer in from this day moving forward goes on a wait list. But you can see we have not added any, there's no cushion built into this. So typically we have an August meeting. I think it's scheduled around August 26th, this coming fall, that we review this again. We kind of look at where are we in enrollment. We've done our enrollment push. And we review where are we at with enrollment numbers and do we have additional transfers to consider or that we want to. So typically that late August meeting is to grant some maybe late transfers or possibly deal with transfers in this process. So this takes care of everyone who's requested into North Bend. I can just say before we get to the next agenda item, we have a pretty open relationship with our neighboring district, specifically Coos Bay, where we share students back and forth throughout the year. Some kids attend both of our school districts in the same year and back again. So we do that pretty fluently, freely. A few out to Reesport, Bandon, Myrtle Point, Coquito, like those things, and Winter Lakes, of course. And so I want to make sure that when we talk about denying consent, we're not talking about every place. We have, again, that those options still exist. Obviously, folks, one, if you're a charter school, we can't deny consent. So that's part of the law. So if a charter school, but Winter Lakes or any of these others are not charter schools. So they have to have consent from both boards for kids to come in. So this gives you the front end of the consent to come into North Bend. Make sense?
One other comment, Kevin, in the grades 1st through 4th grade, 5th grade, most of the students are current students attending North Bend schools that have moved into probably into Coos Bay or another neighboring distance that currently are attending with us already. And of the kindergarten students coming in, the vast majority of them have siblings in the district or employees that live in Coos Bay that would like to bring their child to North Bend. Current employee of ours. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and make a motion. Okay. I move for the board to approve the number of non-resident students who apply to the North Bend School District as presented.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, with that, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nay? No nays. Okay,
You will make a lot of kindergarten families happy.
that's great.
Yeah, they will be pleased to get, because we typically don't do this necessarily this early, and so they'll be super pleased to get that notification.
Great. Love to have them. All right. Item 16, consent of inter-district transfers. Action requested.
I know, and I feel like you've been teased on this one all night long, right from the very beginning around families that attend Winter Lakes and don't want that option taken away, and I fully respect that. So I guess I'll start by saying is we don't require annual consent. So if they're in Winter Lakes, they will not be kicked out. This is, again, the statute I've given you in this report really outlines the process for interdistrict transfers. And one of those process is if someone requests to transfer, it says if a school board decides to not give consent to a student, the board must provide a written explanation to the student. So it says from the board. So that's why this is in front of you tonight. If you wish to deny consent, then this requires us to take board action. And I'm giving you the reason that we're here today. And again, I feel like, and I've kind of included that in part of this, is prior to this year, I would not have brought this forward as an option, even though this has probably been an option for this district for quite a few years. So if there's concern about, and all these kids are leaving, and it's going to decimate our school district and we're losing all these programs, like if you want to stop this, you could have. But I feel like I'm coming in good faith. It says we have options that I want our families to try. We have a new online ESD program that's hybrid that we will hopefully figure out how to work with the parents' needs and what they want us to provide at the elementary, middle school level. We have a Bridges program that's in many ways I call it the first year of its development, who wants to work side by side with families. We are seeing that program be successful for kids who want to graduate from high school. I don't know if Corey can confirm this or Daryl, it's like 40 kids are going to graduate, 40 students are going to graduate from Bridges this year, who may or may not, and I don't know Jake can confirm this, or whether they would have graduated had that program not existed. So we have options that we want for our families to take advantage of. And at this point, we almost think in many ways, I send the list of Winter Lakes request transfers to Jake, Daryl, everybody, and oftentimes they don't know who these families are. They've never talked to them, they've not been in, they haven't shared their concerns. So part of this is this denial of consent says is give us a chance to serve you and work with you. We have great staff, great teachers, great administration team. They want to serve this group of families, and we'll do what we can to make that work. There isn't really maybe one of your questions would be, well, what happens or is there any way for a family to go to Winter Lakes? And I'll say is if they work with us and do this, we have an option under potentially like a hardship that they can request that says, we've tried this, we tried this, we tried this. We've given your programs ample opportunity to provide this, and now what do you do for us? And then again, I feel like under that hardship request, we could consider a transfer elsewhere. And if Coquille and Winter Lakes is that option to consider, I think we can figure out a pathway to that for families. I just would say is like that's not our first pathway, and so give us a chance to work with you. I'll take questions. I know this is not an easy decision for this board to probably.
I think that kind of is my question where you ended there, is that it feels a little hypocritical to say we'll take you to come in, but we're going to say you're not going to go to this place because of this reason. And while I understand the need to possibly do that, it would be nice if there was a structured step system. Like if you want to go here, then we'd like you to attempt this. Did this work? No. Yes. Then this. Did this work? No. Yes. Then this. Did this work? No. Okay. Well, we've exhausted our options at our school district, and for your educational success, we would be okay with saying, go try something else. But we've exhausted all of our options. Then I would be, all right, we got to that point. I agree that we need to try to make every possible option that we have work and make sure they don't work, what the reason was that they didn't work. So that one, we can improve in ourselves, but we could say that we tried to give that student every opportunity to be successful here before we say it's go somewhere else. Because I do agree, the parents think that it might be better for them to go somewhere else. I mean, you talk about the parents, ability to make the choice, but I also understand the implications it has for the school district.
Well, we're not taking away all choice.
No,
Again,
yeah.
The Coos is an option, and there's lots of other
Right.
educational options within our own community. That one seems to be, again, it's 30 miles away.
Right.
And again, we could do, I don't know how many kids are driving there every single day to attend classes. And again, they're being creative with an elementary age kids. Give us a chance to figure out how to do that.
Right.
Can we work that option for you? Because we haven't had a chance yet. But I hear your point. I mean, I think the process, and again, I don't have that to share and what that would look like. We'll like to talk about some ideas and what that might look like.
Is there a way to do this just for brand new incoming parents rather than families who are already established? Like, can we
I
start
don't believe
this?
so. So again, one of the things with transfers, and I didn't really hit on this, is this process is both in and out is completely free from discrimination. So we pretty much just get your name, age, address, what grade your child is. Sometimes not even that, what age is your child, and we figure out what grade they typically are in. We can't consider special education. We can't consider talented giftedness. We can't consider really any other factors. So I think one, it's like we have to be really careful around this isn't personal to families or some individual, very neutral approach to dealing with this. In many ways, you kind of heard there's some online stuff that's going on this that certainly it is a bit of a fiscal issue for us around, and it's one method to address this. Is it 100% required? We're trying to build good programs that draw kids and keep kids. So I feel like we're going to keep that. We're going to keep doing that regardless of this. And at the same time, we do see quite a few specifically going to Winter Lakes versus other places. And I'm bringing this one specifically is because this is where we have requests that our schools have no idea why, and they're not, and they don't even want to engage with us on the conversation. So I feel like that's what this is trying to drive.
At this point, it sounds like it's easier to transfer to Winter Lakes than it was to cancel my Dr. Squatch soap subscription.
It's easy to transfer to any of our districts, really. I mean, we sign off pretty rarely.
Kevin, you don't have a problem with them going to the Coos Bay School District, so I'm not really sure what the Winter Lakes issue is.
The Winter Lakes really, this is around a pretty significant distance away, and so it's around like, what's the rationale to go to Winter Lakes versus Coquille or go to Coos Bay? Coos Bay has, we need that relationship. We have teachers who live in both districts. We have people who work at the hospital, want to attend their student to attend the closest school to the hospital. So we just have that relationship around more geographical distance, both between both districts. We have zero relationship like that with Coquille. They send 0 kids to us or near 0. I don't know if it's something.
It's just about 0.
So we don't have that reciprocal relationship. This is a one-way out only system.
Well, it's interesting in your letter that you say that the Coquille School District has grown from 50 students to 350 students.
Correct.
There is a draw for some reason, and someone needs to know what that reason is. And if a parent feels like their child is going to do better there, I don't really see why we wouldn't want to deny that personally.
And again, that's why this is coming to you today. I feel like I said I wouldn't be here if we weren't offering options. And again, I couldn't have done that before today, right? I feel like our ESD online hybrid option is what Coquille and Winter Lakes offers. Like, that is the model that they share. You can come to your brick and mortar, you can come to BE, you can do online, you can do anything in between. That's what we're offering. So for me to tell a parent, yeah, we're going to deny Coquille, prior to today, I couldn't have said I have a similar option for you. Now I do.
I think that option is wonderful, but still, I feel like the parent should have a choice in the matter. And I know this new program really sounds wonderful, and I would hope that they would give it a try. But if they have reasons for wanting their children there. I think we need to think about that. We need to think about why they want their children there. What are the reasons? What are they offering maybe that we're not offering?
Agreed, yeah.
Kevin? Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. How many students do we have from North Bend that go to Winter Lakes? Do you know?
28, I believe we're at 28 now. It was at 25 about 6 weeks ago, but we're at 28.
That's just this year.
Okay. Is there a way that we could possibly just send them a newsletter of options that we have to get them to come back? Because I think parents need to be in control of where their students go to school. I know.
So what we tend not to do is try to go, once they're enrolled at Coquille, they're Coquille students. And so kind of as an agreement between all of us is that we don't go kind of poaching other districts' kids. Like that isn't really what we go do. We don't advertise to go, we try to keep our kids and we try to certainly educate everyone on what the offerings that we have. And I know Winter Lakes has been around. So sometimes like, how do we educate them on programs? They're enrolling at Winter Lakes before they're even asking us any options. It's like they're just gone, which is, again, we're trying to like maybe address that again. And I don't know whether this is the best way to do it. We are trying to do both ways. It's making sure that we're getting this information out to families so that they know that we have options. And we will do what you're saying is making sure our parents, every parent in the district knows that these options exist. And that our homeschool families are that because we can reach out to them, that they know that this option exists, and we'll certainly kind of keep trying to build good programs.
I do kind of think that if we were going to say we're going to deny consent for North Bend students to transfer, it would be anywhere until we made sure that all of their options were exhausted versus singling out one school just because of the optics of it. I mean,
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
That's the first time that's happened.
I guess just
we all agreed on.
Oh, yeah.
Jim hasn't had
Yeah, no, I want to let everyone speak. Just to make my thinking visible, I'm of two minds on this. I think, we want to keep our students in the North Bend School District. And, we want to be able to fund all our programs and get our ADMW. And Kevin, I think it's great that you're advocating for the school district and trying to keep students here. That's admirable. And I think that's what you should do.
Yeah.
And that's good. On the other hand, I think parents and students are the key stakeholders. And, I think that the parents need to have the choice in this. And, I'm pro-choice for schools. And, I believe that the funding should follow the students. I don't quite know all the attractions for Winter Lakes. I don't know that they have the rigor that you might get here, which I certainly want to preserve in the North Bend School District. And, I'd love to, I think it's great that we now have this online offering. I think that is now great. And I like Eric's idea. Perhaps there's a flow chart we need to develop that's just public out there for the public, say, hey, okay, you're looking for something different. We have bridges at the high school. You're looking for something that we have an online offering. I'd love to see the strength of our curriculum CTE offerings be what defines us and what attracts people to us. So, I think, I see both points, both sides, but I've got to I'm personally on the side pro-choice, go where you want. The funding follows the students, and that we just need to compete for that niche. And I think the online offering is going to help for sure, and bridges also. So, anyhow.
I have a question. I mean, my thing is what's drawing them to Winter Lakes is my question, and is it going to sustain? Is next year going to change? They're going to come back to the school district? Is it, and that's the
true.
thing.
Winter Lakes is going through probably as big a turnover as they ever have in the history of their program. Pretty much everyone involved in creating Winter Lakes is going to be gone next year. And so in between the superintendent, their principal, so they have a complete new kind of their management structure. So We'll see what the future holds for them as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the drive is. Again, it's certainly looking for other options. I don't really want to speculate too much. I mean, I think people are, they're dissatisfied with our school. Oftentimes then when they get presented with another school option, they're sometimes dissatisfied, not just with the elementary, middle, or high school, they're dissatisfied with the district as a whole. And so getting them to consider options is not always the easiest task, or just even talking to us about it.
Yeah. I mean, my thing is like, I wonder, like, do like a survey Monday or something, find out what the sentiment of the families and what's going on, and those kids that are already going there, why did they go there? Or if they're going to be coming back to North Bend next year or something like that.
Yeah, we
that's,
do know some of it. And I'm guessing, I know Daryl and Jake have talked to those families. They could definitely give us some, like, I know they know some of the reasons at the high school level for sure, which is the biggest bulk of the kids is at the secondary level. We can come back with that. As we kind of look at that task force and more information, we can come back with that.
I definitely think it's worth revisiting later with a different angle.
Yeah,
different approach.
Well, and again, this was I just want to look at options, right? We've kind of talked about declining enrollment. This is an option for us to consider, the board to consider, and so I certainly felt obligated to bring that forward.
It's a great discussion to have, and we need to compete in the area of education. So. Any further, do we want to make a motion or just leave it lie and move on?
I'm not ready to approve.
no, I'm not
Yeah.
approve it. No.
All right, we'll just leave it.
Yes. Table it for now.
Tabled. Okay. All right, great discussion. Okay, item 17, board comments.
Do we need to make a motion to table that?
Yeah, that's
It's not official table, it's just no action.
No action.
No
guys.
action. All right. Good question.
If
though.
you desire to bring it back, you can just let us know if you want to revisit that. We don't need to table.
Eric, go ahead.
I want to congratulate all of the staff and teachers for making it through this year. So congratulations. Congratulations to all the students that are graduating this year. The class of 2022 has had an interesting journey. And we all get to hang out in the gym with them next week. So I'm super jazzed about that. Yeah, I won't be soaking wet like last year.
That was brutal.
And I agree with Jim, Kevin, thank you for looking out for the school district, because that is a hard conversation to have. That is a hard thing to say, this is an option that we could consider. And that's exactly why you're the man for the job. And I appreciate you looking out for the school district. That's all I got.
Yeah, and I was going to say about the summer program, and I'm really proud of all the teachers stepping up to teach the summer. And trust me, I'll be twisting some other teachers' ears to see if they'd be willing to step up. So
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you to all of the teachers. Summer's coming, yay.
Okay, thank you for the board comments. Item 18, information only. Next board meeting, August 1st. So no July board meeting. I do have a question for the board's consideration. I know there is, typically there's not a work session in June. Is that correct? That's my understanding.
Typically, no.
Typically
There's just a
not,
lot of
yeah.
conflicts that happen the rest of this month.
I know there's a lot of retirement parties and celebration, and that's important.
End of the year, our administrators all attend, or a lot of them attend the annual coast conference. It's in Seaside. That's like June 22nd to 25th. So yeah, it's hard to find some times where at least staff is available to attend another meeting in June.
The only thing I throw it out for the board for consider, is there any interest in a 16th of June work session? And the major topic I had thought was school security. Now we can have a similar discussion at the August 1st board meeting if we want but the work sessions have allowed perhaps more candid conversation. And it gives us, if we were to make, want to move in a certain direction, it gives us another 45 days to put some plans in place if we wanted to do that.
I'm okay with doing it in August, but I mean, I'm an Alice instructor and an ex-police officer, like I will always be down for that conversation. I've told Kevin a number of times that he can use me to do any Alice training that needs to be done at any school at any time. So yes, whenever you want to have that conversation, but maybe in August.
Yeah, I can have it. I'm good either way, the 16th of June or 1 August.
Well, I think it's August 4th would be our first one, and we do have a special meeting and a work session scheduled August 25th, and we could do prior to school starting. Those are both prior to the school starting the school year. I told Jim earlier this week that I would be, just given the nature of safety and concerns around that we would do a safety audit this summer and with our principals and specifically around the secondary, making sure that those campuses are secure with our insurers. So we have Jewel Insurance who comes and they do some of that, as well as our local police department, to really do an assessment around where are some things that we need to address kind of sooner, what are some things that we can continue to wait. We are working on some other projects that we've talked about, like secure locks. I need to work with Joe around where that now, given where some things are and some anxiety, where do we fast track and when can we do some of that over the summer? Again, I think getting some feedback from our, like I said, a few other partners and stakeholders would be important in this, and then we can come back with that information as well as give you sort of the bigger overview of how we approach safety and security at a district level. But either one is fine, but maybe we can kind of do some of that in June, and it seems like, again, the conversation that may be ongoing.
Unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately.
Any thoughts from other board, other board members?
I'm flexible whenever, but yeah, I'm okay.
You're
with
okay
that.
with June?
I'm
You're
okay with
okay?
June. Yeah.
I'm okay with June.
Julie?
I'm good.
Okay.
So we'll have Amy kind of get out just to double check that that's good for everyone, and let's get the time scheduled, and we'll get the invite out.
Okay.
June 16th.
June 16th,
That's
yeah.
a Thursday.
And appreciate you making time for that. And then we can enjoy 45 days of.
Yeah, we'll invite, and again, I'd say we'll invite our school research officer, hopefully he'd be available to attend.
He would be
and maybe our secondary principals, at least a representative.
On the 16th, I know there's a couple big retirement.
Oh, there is. Oh, yeah, maybe I won't be like that, or just a smaller group.
Yeah, perhaps a smaller group, and recognizing that there's a time of completion and celebration appropriate. And yeah, maybe not.
Well, does it have to be like, can we do a doodle poll to figure out what days might work better? Or does it have to be on it?
We could do it.
Yeah.
Just with everything that's going on, we haven't planned for it, so I don't know what anybody's schedules are. I haven't even asked my boss what I'm doing on the 16th. I know it's my mother-in-law's birthday.
We can look at some dates if we want to.
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm okay with
That's
that.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
We'll put something together and look at some options.
Okay, thank you.
You want like a couple hours, is that what you're thinking?
I would say 2 at the max, absolutely. And if it did turn out to be the 16th, we'd absolutely be out. And I don't know when do teacher and administrator parties end? Do they end at 8 o'clock or 8:30? Okay.
3:30 to 5:30.
Okay, I digress. Okay. District financial information enrollment numbers. I think we're ready to adjourn. Great. Thank you very much. All in attendance.
Thank you.